Thank you, everyone, for joining us. I'm Keith Miller, Buncombe County Property Assessor. We once again want to offer up this training for the LOTSAR appeal clinics, training for those realtors who have volunteered to help us in this effort that we're putting forth for the residents of Buncombe County. So I'm going to walk through with you fairly quickly the training, in which we have done a couple times at the LOTSAR facility, but we will now offer this electronically to those who would like to rewatch it or watch it for the first time. So let's walk through this, and then at the end we'll have I'll have a data analyst walk through the website with you also to show you a few steps there that you can take. So first thing I like to remind people, in assessment, we always have an appraisal date, and the appraisal date is not the current date. So if you're talking with someone about their property value, you want to refer back to the appraisal date, which is January 1 of 2021. That is the last general reappraisal for Buncombe County, and that will remain the appraisal date until the next general reappraisal. So unlike how realtors or appraisers function every day, you're looking at current value as of today when you're doing a comparable sales on maybe a property you're looking to list. But however, that is not going to be the correct way for this clinic. Any appeal that is filed for property taxes today, or property value today, I should say, again, you will want to establish a value as of January 1, 2021. So therefore, using comparable properties prior to that to arrive at that value. So a little background on property assessment appeals, how, why, when, and where, North Carolina General Statute. Let's talk through that so you'll have a little better understanding of what the appeal process is and where it comes from. As you work through it with residents, then you'll have a little better understanding. The first thing that you will hear us refer to will be the informal appeal. The informal appeal for all property owners can be filed with the assessor beginning January 1 of any year. And that period then will run until the statute says the Board of Equalization and Review adjourns. When that board adjourns, which is typically mid-April, then that stops the informal process. The informal process is only a process in which the statute sets forth that any property owner can come to the assessor at that time and ask for their property to be reviewed. We will review it in an informal status just to see what the concerns are. If there's a problem, something listed incorrectly, is there really a value issue? And that's the time that we'll work with the property owner in the beginning. After then, that time period closes. You go to the formal process. Formal process is an appeal to the Board of Equalization and Review. The Board of Equalization and Review is a 5-member board who is appointed by the Board of County Commissioners to hear appeals related to property tax. And that board is made up of local professionals, real estate agents, appraisers, attorneys. They all have some background in property value, real estate, so they can better understand what your questions are and how to help you. So in the formal process, that appeal will go before that board. The property owner would present their case to that board and ask them to reconsider whatever issue that they may have as far as value, submitting comparable properties, trying to establish a new value, then that board will make a decision on that. Once that is completed and that board has made a decision, then the property owner has another step. If you don't like that decision from the formal appeal of the Board of Equalization Review, then you can take your next appeal to the Property Tax Commission in Raleigh. It's somewhat of the same process. It's a little more formalized when you get to the Property Tax Commission, but it's the same idea. You take your case before the Property Tax Commission, which this commission is appointed by the governor of North Carolina, and to hear appeals related to property tax matters. So it's the same somewhat as the Board of Equalization and Review. They will give a decision on the appeal. They'll hand that down to you and to the county, whatever their decision is. If you still don't like the decision that you got from the Property Tax Commission, Then your next step will be the North Carolina Appellate Court. The appellate court then will review your case and once again, also make a decision based upon the facts in which is presented to them for the property owner in whatever question they are presented. So that's somewhat of the high level of the property assessment appeals and how we work through the different levels and how you as a property owner or any property owner can receive due process in the North Carolina property tax law to make sure you are being treated fairly. What does the property owner need to provide? First thing you have to remember, in the state of North Carolina, the assessor is presumed to be correct until proven otherwise. What this means then is that the burden of proof is up on the property owner. The property owner must come forth with evidence showing that the market value is incorrect. So that burden of proof, the taxpayers to prove the assessment is substantially exceeds fair market value as of the appraisal date or the assessment is arbitrary. So the local board of equalization review, the property tax commission, and on up to the Court of Appeals. This is the rules that they're going to go by. Does it substantially exceed fair market value of the appraisal date, or is it arbitrary? That's the two questions that they're going to ask from the appeal process. The property owner then should prove that there's a listing area error or provide comparable sales to show the value substantially exceeds fair market value, and or you can provide a private appraisal. So there's many things here that we can work with to go to those levels. You can work with a local agent, a local appraiser to develop comparable sales to support your opinion of market value. And then that's what you would need to present to the board, local board and the Property Tax Commission in Raleigh to be able to consider your evidence. Comparable sales should be within the prior 2 years of the appraisal date. So we'll go back now. Remember, the appraisal date currently is January 1 of 2021. So we will consider sales back to as far as 2 years prior to that, and then time adjust those forward for the current appraisal date. We would prefer they be within 1 year, but we will consider other sales as long as we're also considering a time adjustment upon those sales. What can the property owner not appeal? Cannot appeal your tax bill, or you cannot appeal the amount of tax. Your property appeal is on your property value only. The property value has to be established before the bill can be established, because your bill is calculated based upon your property value. So you cannot appeal just your tax bill or the tax amount. You cannot appeal your ability to pay. Your ability to pay is not a consideration in the appeal. If you have an issue with being able to pay, then there's other avenues that we can help with there, as far as with the collector's office, being able to set up payment plans and so on. Prior year assessments. Again, the value you're appealing is for January 1, 2021. That's the only value you're appealing. You cannot appeal prior year values, or you cannot go back in another reappraisal year, or you can't go back and appeal. We're now in 2022, so you can go back and appeal 2021 only. You cannot be retroactively to those prior years. So what does it look like for a volunteer? If you're a volunteer realtor who is going to help with these clinics, what does that look like for you? So if you're at one of our locations and a property owner comes in, sits in front of you, our recommendation is that the first thing you will want to do is find that property in our system. So you can search by PIN number, address, owner name, and find the property record card. Work with that owner through the data on that property record card. Make sure that the property is listed correctly. Square footage, bedrooms, bathrooms, basements, finished basements. All these are things that are value items and which add value to the assessment. First thing you need to know is that, are we assessing the property correctly? So to arrive at a fair market value, we have to have the property assessed correctly. Ask the property owner about condition. Interior and exterior, anything the property owner wants to share about the interior, exterior that the assessor would not know. So here I remind you that the assessor or the appraisers in the assessor's office never go inside your property unless we're invited. No one's property. So most of the properties within Buncombe County, we have never saw the interior on. We don't always know the condition. We don't always know the quality of finishes. So if there's something within the property that we need to consider, the property owner needs to bring that forth. So that would be a good thing as you're sitting with the property owner. You need to discuss this. What's the condition of the interior? What's the finishes? What's the floor finish? When was the last time the kitchen was remodeled? Was the bathrooms been remodeled? These are items that are all relevant to the value. Property owner can provide pictures or support evidence of something that is affecting the market value. So if you're sitting with the property owner and they say, yes, the interior of my home is really in bad shape. It was built in 1950. The kitchen's never been remodeled. Well, maybe they want to provide some pictures of that. If they want to provide those, then they can send those here to the assessor. You can go ahead and file their appeal for them online. You can make notes on that appeal. The evidence will follow later. The property owner will get an email from us once the appeal is submitted. And then they will have 30 days after that date that they can go back to the appeal and attach additional documents, or they can mail them here to our office and we will attach them to their appeal. So anything they would like for us to see, basements, bathrooms, kitchens, interior condition, whatever it is, it would be a good idea to provide pictures to show us that. Find the comparable sales. Here's probably the number one thing that property owners need help with. And this is why you as a realtor, as a professional doing this every day, can help people who are struggling with this process. They need to find the comparable sales to support their market value or support the assessor's market value to determine what a market value is in general, an estimate of market value. Determine a range. Give us a range of value that you would estimate the market value to be based upon the comparable sales that you're providing with that owner. You will find, as Eric walks you through the website, you will see some tools that are available for comparable sales that we offer to property owners, in which you can use also when you're sitting with a property owner, or you can use your own MLS system to find the comparables, in which same as you do every day, whichever is most comfortable for you. However, when you submit that appeal, we do ask that the comparables be attached to the appeal when you submit it, so the appraisers here can review those same comparables in which you're referring to. Consult with the property owner about the sales. Establish an estimate of market value. You got to remember, as we are sitting, and you as a professional realtor sitting before property owners, the typical property owner does not know a whole lot about comparable sales. They don't know a whole lot about market value, maybe. They don't know a whole lot about how we arrive at market value, why we use comparable sales, what does that mean, how do we adjust them? These are things that at a high level, I would suggest that you can talk to the property owners about, help them better understand it, help them better understand what market value means, why we look at comparable sales, and why they are important to establishing that estimate of value. Does the property owner want to move forward now? Once you have went through the property record with them and explained to them, verified the data, explain to them that what market value is, you help them find the comparable sales, you work with them to establish an estimate of market value, and now the question is, does the property owner want to move forward? And if so, then you can help them at that moment submit their appeal online and attach the documentation. So review and questions. I would suggest to you that if you have questions after you review this video, you're welcome to contact me here at my office, keith.miller@buncombecounty.org, or you can reach me at 828-250-4949. We can go back and review any of these comments, any of these slides in which you may have questions about, and talk more in detail about them if you wish. If you volunteer and you sign up for one of those volunteer spots, just remember there will be a staff member from this office on site or available at all times to help answer questions. If you get stuck on something and don't know how to submit the appeal, or just the property owner maybe has a question in which you don't really know if you have the correct answer, someone will be available for you. So these clinics, although we want you to work with the property owner, we will be there to support you. So we don't want you to feel like that you've been left out there. Sign up for a day and time. You can do this on the LotStar website, or you can do it here at this site. We have a tool that's signup.com, which has all the dates and times listed in it. And you can go to that sign up sheet and be able to pick your time and day that you would like to do that. We're also going to offer a Saturday for call-in. I'll mention that. Saturday at the LotStar facility, in which we will have dedicated phone lines for property owners to call in. These are helping those folks who may not have transportation, who may not be able to get out in the cold weather. We still want to be able to give them access for help if that's what they need. So it's a great opportunity to serve and reach back out to your community and help those who today need help with their property values and their appeals. So now we can go to Eric. Eric, we'll now turn over the display to you, and you can share now walking through the website and the appeal module to help people better understand that.
Hey, is my screen visible?
Yes.
Awesome. All right. Okay, so we have recently revamped the tax lookup portion of our website. And you can see that here. It's tax.buncombecounty.org. And there will be this search bar at the top of the page. And when you're speaking with a property owner, you can go search by their name, street, address, parcel number, bill number, all those things. But I frequently find myself searching by the address. So I'm going to look for a house here. There's the results on that. The next page we'll come to is the property portal. And each parcel will have this page, and it'll have the same options here at the bottom. Now, you can appeal from many different sections of our website, but to me, this is the best starting point, is the tax.buncombecounty.org website. And type in the property address, you get to this page, and this will always be your fourth option that you'll see. Let's go to the appeal page. So right now is not eligible because it's before January 1 of 2021, but I do have a test site open that we can go through it now. And this will be the exact same page you will see. So here is what it looks like after January 1 of 2023. I said the wrong year a minute ago. So you'll have your owner information, parcel ID number, and the value, who your appraiser is, and the contact information for that appraiser, their phone number. Now, since it can also email their appraiser by clicking on this button here, and it'll pull up your Outlook or your email client. Now, one thing too that's really nice is you have a 5-step process here, and there's a video that accompanies each one. Now, you don't have to view this whole video. I do encourage everyone to go here and watch it once and look. And it's about I don't know the exact length, but it's about a 5-minute video that steps you through all 5 of the steps. And it's pretty well done, and it should help ease you through this process. Now, you can, once you get into it, you start seeing more and more people. You don't have to watch the video every time. You just open it up and hit escape. You do have to do that part of it. So you can do it for each step, but also on the next step, you can view the reference video for this particular step. And that portion is cut out of the larger video on step 1. So step 1 steps you through the whole process of the video. Step 2 brings you to review the property records. And this is where you can review the property record card with the citizen as you speak to them. And the building tab down here is where you can click on this and it'll go to the building information. I call it the tab. To review what we have assessed on their home as far as their property characteristics go. And there you can also report a data issue. Now, what this does, this goes to our building details page on the property record card. And if the resident feels like any of these characteristics are incorrect, they can go in here and update them and change them. And if they don't see something here to correct, but they want to talk about, you know, the condition of their property or any other issues they may have that they feel like affects the value, they can fill that in here, the additional comments. And then they can report the data issue. And we will get that, download it, and import it into our system and send them a notice, send them a new notice.
Eric,
Yes.
remind me again what an example of additional comments might be. Like what would be a characteristic that might come up?
Oh, well, I found that when I review the data, when I import these into the system, a lot of it's going to be about the condition of the property.
Okay, that makes sense.
Things along that line, because you don't see that in these drop downs. These are more asking for square footage and, you know, the count of things, half bathrooms, bedrooms, things like that. So a lot of people talk about the condition of that, of their other structure, the foundation, their lot itself. You know, is all of it relevant for us? No, but it's good information to have. So
Okay.
yeah.
Thank you.
Oh, lost my way. Okay. So if they want to report something there, they can hit the button, but you'll still come back to this screen. And this is where the compare tool comes into play. So if they want to move forward, the next step, you can use the compare app to pull some comparables for them. Now, the nice thing about this is it'll go ahead and highlight your subject property. You can see right here with the red box. And it already has some sales within the area pulled up for you. And they'll be over here to your left as well. You'll notice at the top, there's some criteria you can filter by. This is the default. So it's looking at the parcel that you have highlighted as a subject here. And it's creating this default filter. It's kind of like a best fit for that particular property. You'll notice too, the date range right now is from 2017 to 2020. And that's because these are the reappraisal January 1 of 2021 sales. And you can adjust the distance here. You can change your year builds if you want to. You know, total finished area. So more sales will come up the broader you go, the further out you go. Things along that line. You can change the building type as well. All right, so bring back my sales here so I can highlight some comps for you. It's easier for me to do it again right here. Okay. So let's say we've found our subject property. We're just going to use, I'm just going to use these three right here. And see. Comes up. Okay, so if you pull this list, let's say you selected something that you don't want to select, you can hit this down here. It's comparables tab. You can actually remove it. Or you can highlight another one over here. Come up, you can add that one to it. You can replace. And if the resident and you agree that these will be some good comps to submit, the next thing to do is to save PDF. Pick spot here for that. Yeah. I'm also going to show you the PDF real quick too. And this is what it will look like when it prints out. So you can see the characteristics, the photos, a map of the location, You can view the characteristics side by side, along with the sale price and the sale date. Looks like our subject actually sold after this year. So, you can see all that information side by side, and you also want to save this on on your desktop or some folder that you've designated for these, and it automatically saves it as the parcel ID number. So if you don't want it to be the parcel ID number, you'll have to add an extension onto it, like the owner name or street address, something like that would make it a little bit easier for you to find.
Sorry, Eric, just again, if you could go back,
Yes.
just going back to what Keith was saying. As much as possible, though, we'd want comps 1 and 3 to be in 2020, right? In that year, look back in the build up to the January 2021 reappraisal, right, Keith?
Yes, and if you reflect back to the prior screen, you can also sort those comparables by date. You go back to those, Eric, and so
Right here.
you can sort those by date. So now it'll give you at the top, it'll give you the most recent.
Yeah.
There's 3 2020s right there on the top that you could choose to look at.
You can also adjust that in your range too.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
And not just the dates, but this came up at the last in-person training we did. So Keith, you might want to speak to this for just a second. But these are going to be slightly different than what real estate agents are used to looking at, right? Because this is coming from what the county is using, not necessarily something as detailed as the MLS. And so it might be hard for y'all, but you have to retrain your brains kind of out of things like cabinetry and appliances and more towards this approach. So.
Totally.
Yeah, so the realtors doing their comparable sales, they're going to put some effort into the interior finishes and design of the interior, amenities, a lot of things in which we will not know. So I would encourage the realtors doing this is that you can really focus more on your built square footage, condition, sale date, basements unfinished. These are the things that's really going to be a big value drivers for us. We have a grading condition on the building, but we have never been in it. Again, just remember, we've never been in it, so we don't have all those components into the value system. So it's not quite as detailed as maybe what most realtors do every day when you're doing comparable sales for a listing. So just keep that in mind, that you don't have to go to that detail.
Right. Okay, so I'll go to next page here. Yeah. So we've selected our comps, we've saved our PDF. The next step is to actually fill out the appeal questionnaire. Here it comes, okay. And you'll see all the information at the top that you've been seeing. There's a couple of notes up here about vacant parcels. So you might not get these too often. So here's the steps to fill out one of these 4 vacant parcel. It's basically you just need to get through all these parts, filling out basically the not applicable, 0 for not applicable for all these ones that pertain to a structure. And this will be the box that you really want to get filled out, or vacant parcels, if you do come across that. But let's go back to talking about this property here. So I'm going to come in and fill in some information. I'm just going to, like it wasn't for sale. I'm going to say about information for the square footage. Also, if you did fill out property characteristics updates on the PRC step, the property record card step. If you did update that, you will also need to fill in information out here. So that's one thing to remember. And you do that because we want to make sure the appraiser sees all the information up front. So if the resident does want to follow through with their property appeal, if they've done that, if they reviewed the comps and they still want to do this step, we still want to fill this information out. So it's might be a little repetitive, but it's necessary to make sure the appraiser sees all the information up front in the very first step, which will likely be when they see the appeal. So with the total heated living area, and how much of that heated living area includes a heated and finished basement. So we'll say 500. Total basement area, we'll say some of that's unfinished, so let's do 750 there. Bathrooms. Only got blanks, not applicable. Half bathrooms, 2, 3. 2 fireplaces, say it's a full basement. Air conditioning. So you're just basically asking the resident these questions here and filling it out as you go. And one is there a mobile home on the property? We'll say no, but if they do say yes, the next step will be to just ask them, is it affixed to the property? Are the wheels and hitch and axles and all, is all that removed? We're asking this to see if we have it listed for, have personal property listed on the property, or if it's actually a part of the real estate itself, if there is a mobile home there. So we want to make sure we have all the information for that. And these are any other improvements, like a detached garage, carport, swimming pool, things like that. So pretend that there's none there on this, but this is a necessary step. It's in bold, so you'll need to fill it out. I was going to fill out information about PVC comparables. Is not at market value. Followed by the owner. This is where you'll fill out their contact information.
And Eric, I think that's something that came up at the first one. Even though the volunteer is filling this out, we will fill it out in the name of the property owner.
Yes, with their contact information, so an appraiser can reach out to them.
Right.
Discuss their appeal, and maybe they have a different mailing address than the property, they can send it to them. So we can continue here. It says it's working. Wait, I think I've missed a step. Let me see. No. Oh, yep. See, I missed a step here. Hint 0 for the asking price is not applicable. So it's not on the market. It's a 0. I think I missed that step every time. So there we go. Okay, so the next screen here is where you want to add your attachments. You want to add your comparables. Some people put photos in there if they're have a dispute about the or they want to let us know about the condition. They take some pictures of the property and put that here. So hit an upload. Find my folder real quick.
I'm trying to stop me. I'm on the video.
There it is. Next step, we continue. Now that's done. Also, if you get the wrong attachment, you can always delete it right here. Okay, the appeal has still not been submitted. This is your last opportunity to make some changes on the page. So we'll just review it real quick. Everything looks good. There's my attachment. You can see that it made it on there. Now you'll hit submit. You'll see this dialog box come up. So up to 30 days after this is clicked, information can still be submitted for that appeal. We did have a question about, do they have to have all their, what if they want to take some photos and bring them in or send them in after this is submitted? They can do that 30 days after we submit this appeal. So people residents bring things by the office even after they've submitted appeals on the web, or they've submitted an appeal by the mail and then brought some information forward after that too. So you don't have to do it all at once.
Now, let's mention here too, Eric, that the person listed in the requester information, the email is going to get a response with a
Yes.
link to be able to go back to this appeal, correct?
Yes. Once I get it working here, there we go. I'll actually pull one of those emails up. Here we go. You can probably just hear it come through. So there it is. So there's your criteria. You have 60 days. Please allow up to 60 days for an appraiser to contact you and review the appeal, send you a notice. And one thing we added this year is you can view the status of your appeal by clicking that link. Now, it's not on here because this is not actually been appealed in our production website. So what will happen is there'll be a flag up here. It'll say this property is under appeal. And when it's worked, it'll say, it'll be a green icon that says it's complete. You can click on it. It'll go down to an appeal section, tell you what the value was before and what it was after. And that's really the last step. Do you have anything else to add to that, Keith?
No, let's go back to that email for a second. Just make sure we point out again that this is the email response that will go to the person who is listed as the requester, the email address. It will also give you the link there for the supporting documentation. If you click on that within 30 days, then you can upload new information or additional information if you want. So
There it is. Yeah, so whoever has that email has the ability to do this over the internet as well.
yeah, so let's just mention that if the property owner's there and they don't have an email address, then they could choose to have that sent to someone else. If they would like to receive that for them, so they'll have access back to the appeal. But if they do not list an email address, then they will not get this response. Is that correct?
Correct.
But they will be contacted by phone or
Yes.
by mail.
Yes, we will after the appraiser reviews the appeal and a decision is made, then everyone that files an appeal will get a letter, a written letter from us, giving them notice of the result of their appeal.
And this came up at a recent training too, so you might be tempted if, there were some really big-hearted realtors in the room who were like, if I use my own email, can I help them do this? That is definitely something that's up to you, but another option is if, particularly for older folks who may not have email or access to it, see if their kids or anyone in their life who's working with them in a caretaking role can take that on.
Yes, correct. Okay.
All right. Stop the screen share here.
All right. And I will share very, very quickly. Can you guys see that? Okay. So this is a flyer we've been distributing for these events. All of the dates are now updated on LOTSAR's website where you can sign up for your slot. You'll notice that they're only in 2-hour slots. So even the longer Saturday hotline event is going to be 2-hour slots as well. So you can sign up for any of these, and then just a reminder that this is a pilot. We're hoping to be able to do these more in the future. So even if you can't make one of these, if you take the training and you want to stay involved, you can let Matt know and we'll keep you on the list for anything that we wind up doing in the future. So.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Emily.
All right.
Well,
I think
thank
we will
you.
wrap it up. Yeah.
Any final words, Keith, or?
Yeah, so let me remind everyone is that this is pretty quick, it's pretty high level. So if there's something you're uncomfortable with, I encourage you again to reach out to me. Phone, email, keith.miller@buncombecounty.org, or my phone 828-250-4949. I'll go back and review the whole thing with you if you would like for me to one-on-one, and we can talk through any concerns that you have. or just call, send me an email with a specific question. We're here to help you through it. So just let me know how I can do that. Okay.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you, Matt.
Thank you. And we look forward to seeing many lots of our members at these clinics.
Yes, and I appreciate your organization and the efforts that you're putting forth for the property owners in Buncombe County. It's truly a need that we have, and I'm glad to see that we have realtors who want to step up and take that opportunity to be able to be a help to those who don't completely understand it as better as they do, maybe. All right.
Cool.
All right. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.